John Sexton 美国纽约大学校长。今天的微课中 ，John Sexton 将就全球化背景下企业如何向高等教育机构学习借鉴，提一些建设性的意见。
Hello, my name is John Sexton. I'm the president of New York University. New York University calls itself the first global network university. We have ways to enter the university on 3 continents, New York, Abu Dhabi, and Shanghai. And then once our students are in, they can move through a circulatory system, and they can actually study in our campuses on 6 continents. We have 15 study away sites on 6 continents. So it is that New York University is very, very much committed to the process of globalization, but not just globalization in an economic sense. That's the way we began to think about globalization most recently in this century. But if you think about it, what universities do is thought, ideas. And ideas always circulated around the world. Great ideas made it around the world as quickly as humans could get around the world, as quickly as we could communicate. What's different about today is that we communicate so quickly. And later today, when I take a plane from here to the west coast of the United States, lo and behold, I'm going to take off at 9 o'clock on Sunday, and I'm going to land there at 6 o'clock on Sunday. So we travel so quickly sometimes, if we cross the international date line, we'll land earlier than we took off. So in this time of rapid communication and rapid transportation, and where we all get to see immediately through the magic of television and satellite, we all get to see events that are going on all the way around the world at the same time. Globalization means much more than the globalization of the economy. The economy is one aspect of it. Of course, corporations are dealing with globalization the same way that universities are. And when you ask me what could corporations learn about their strategies for dealing with globalization, the single most important thing, I think, is to understand that communication between human beings is the key. I think what corporations have to learn most as they go forward into the world of globalization is how to communicate the meaning of what they do across cultures and to different ways. This means that we have to learn the skills of listening. It means that we have to articulate ourselves with a sensitivity to the context, the culture of the person to whom we're speaking. And of course, this gets more and more complicated the more and more countries in which we find ourselves. So if I were to say there were one thing that corporations should focus on as they deal with the process of globalization, it would be that, communication. Now, once you get past that, then it's all about understanding what you are. You know, just as for human beings, the key thing is to understand who we are. The great philosophers have always said, know yourself. So just as that's important, so also as a corporation goes out into the world, and a more and more complex world, and one in which the culture in which it's born isn't necessarily the culture in which it's operating, it's important that it know itself and be true to itself. Because if you're true to yourself, even as a corporation, if you keep your value proposition front and center, then you'll know what it is you should be communicating. So I would say there are 2 parts. One is a skill, and the other is the content for which that skill is used to bring it to the people that are the corporation's clients around the world. Universities are very interesting forms of human organization. There are 85 institutions in the world that exist today the same way they did 500 years ago. So 85 total in the whole world. The remarkable thing is that 70 of those 85 institutions are universities. So universities have something that's at their core that's really important. And the great universities of the world have been around for a long time. Not all of them. I mean, obviously, the oldest American university, Harvard, has only been around for a little more than 300 years. So it wouldn't meet my test of 500 years the way it was, because it didn't exist 500 years ago. But that fact that 70 of the 85 institutions that exist today, as they were 500 years ago, are universities, causes us to ask the question, what is it about universities that has caused them to endure for that long a time? And I think the answer is that the essence of the university is deeply tied to the essence of what it is to be human. Universities are about thought. And thought and thinking and creativity, these are the things that set us apart from other animals. This is what makes us human, the capacity to think. So I think that if corporations were to try to learn from universities, we'd start there. We'd start with the fact that universities know what they're about, and I think it's an important thing for corporations to know what it is they're about. And to the extent that that corporations can continue to be creative and not just rest on what the past has made successful, but look always for how whatever it is they do can be done better tomorrow, whether it's a better service or a better product, well, whatever the corporation's doing, this is what universities do, because thought is always advancing. We're never satisfied with the state of thought. Universities are always looking to have the next discovery, come to the next understanding of things, or see things in a different way. But then if you go beyond that, I think that universities and corporations can find more in common. Because the universities of the last 500 years have always been in a kind of circuit system of knowledge. There's always been a circulation of ideas around the world. It used to be in the early days of universities that scholars actually moved. So scholars moved along the Silk Road. Scholars moved among the capitals of Europe during the Great Enlightenment. So there were never geographical boundaries on thought or on what universities did. There was always a great connection between them. And of course, more recently, corporations have begun to act the same way. And they act now beyond boundaries, and they have to operate within the laws of particular sovereigns, but so do universities. The key is that corporations, I think, can elevate themselves by learning from universities the skills of operating beyond boundaries. And of course, the key there is developing a sense of purpose and a way to communicate with the others that are in your field. So I would say that the final thing that corporations and universities can learn is to work together. This is more and more important. You see it around the world. Since universities are centers of creativity and thought, and usually are working with tomorrow's thought as opposed to today's, and corporations are always looking for the latest new way to think and to be, it's natural that the two should connect. I think the final way that corporations and universities connect is through a very simple word, and that is more and more cooperation. The fact of the matter is that universities deal in creating tomorrow's ideas, the next new thing. It could be a discovery, it could be a cure, it could be an advance of knowledge, it could be the next great book. And corporations are always looking for the next great thing. So there's a way in which with the creativity that occurs on campuses of the great universities, and that the ideas that are incubated there can be translated and made generally available to the public through corporations. So I think that in the coming decades, we're going to see more and more that universities and corporations are going to locate near each other, that they're going to be more and more cooperative with each other. And it's all going to be to take the ideas that universities develop and spread them more widely, and perhaps through the world. This is the next great stage.